Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Eugene Myers, EC Myers Vids, and I'm very late with this video. I think the Renaissance tagged me for this like a long time ago, and I've just been kind of busy, and I also don't primarily make videos like this. It kind of gives me some new respect for all those YouTubers who do make videos like this, like every week, because it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of preparation, it takes a lot of editing, good equipment, all that stuff. So anyway, so this video, I didn't even announce the video right. See, I don't know what I'm doing. So the video is the 5 rarest or most expensive games in your NES collection, I guess. So as of right now, I have about 300 and I want to say 25 maybe licensed and unlicensed Nintendo games. It's like from the original release, and then I have like maybe another 10 homebrews, something like that. And I've been collecting these games since I was a kid. When I was growing up, I only had about 11 games by the time I went to college. And then when I went to college, I got a job, and I lived in New York City, and there was a Funko Land, and and you could buy tons of Nintendo games for like $2, $5, $10. So most of these games, except for one, I actually acquired at Funko Land back in the day, probably like the late 90s, 96, 97. Probably no more than, I'd say probably $11 to $15 for like the most expensive ones. I know you can find some price sheets for games from Funko Land like online, so it'd be kind of interesting to see what these were worth back then and what they are now. But anyway, I'm also kind of embarrassed to say I haven't played a lot of these all the way through yet, but I'm working on it. They're definitely on my list. And and I don't usually collect for rarity or, for an investment or anything. I collect games that I want to own, that I want to play. So anyway, starting off, here we have Rockin Cats. This one is worth, here's the original Funko Land case, which is falling apart. And this cart's got some Blockbuster video stickers on the back here, and this one's worth $90. And so, like I said, I haven't played much of this one. I remember it from Nintendo Power. That's probably why I picked it up. It looked very cartoony in the magazine. I remember that you had a cat and he had like a boxing glove, and it was just a platformer, and I love platform games. So that would be why I picked up the game. I haven't played this one through yet. I probably should play this one pretty soon, I think. Yeah, it's a fun game. I had an opportunity to trade some games recently, and I couldn't part with this one, even though it's in really crappy condition. It's got, a marker on here. It's got this Blockbuster video sticker on the back. But this one is a game that I definitely plan on playing at some point. So I traded Dragon Warrior 4 and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters instead. And I'll be doing a video on the game that I traded them for at some point later on. So. All right, next up on my list, another Funko Land case, Bucky OHare. This one is worth about $92. And unfortunately, this is a pretty nice looking copy until you turn it around. And somebody decided to melt the letter B or a really messy infinity insignia or something on the back here. I don't know what happened, but otherwise it's in mint condition. So Bucky OHare, again, I didn't know a lot about the game itself, but I remembered the cartoon. I used to watch the cartoon when I was growing up because I watched everything that was on TV, and it wasn't necessarily a particularly good show, but I haven't even read the comics or anything like that. So that's pretty much why I picked it up. And then I never really played it. I played it last year for my NES Alphanumeric, my weekly series where I play games in alphabetical order, games from my collection, so Bucky OHare came up in the B's. It's kind of confusing. See? Okay. So the next time I encounter that, I need to keep going to the left. Like so. One up! Ugh, thank you. Alright, once I realized that the level was actually kind of repeating the layout, it helped. Yeah, those... What? Those P's are independent of the characters. So the power meters are different from the life meter. That is total Gradius 2. And it was great. I loved it. I just haven't gotten back to playing it yet. It's high on my list. Looks like it's a challenging platformer. I have a lot of fun with it. So I'm gonna bump up in my list pretty soon. But it's a great game because it's Konami. Konami makes quality stuff, obviously. You got like Castlevania and Contra and all those games. But it's also pretty unique because it's one of the few games for the NES where you can switch characters, and each of your characters actually have different abilities. So it's not like it's a palette swap, and you actually have to switch back and forth between different characters within a level, and that's really cool. Like Konami seems to have done a bunch of games like that. I mean, I remember Castlevania 3. Really loved the fact that you could switch between characters, but it was kind of sad because you could only pick one character to switch with for the long haul. But they've apparently got some other games like this in that were Japan only releases on the Famicom. So like YY World and YY World 2, which is sort of like the best of Konami games where you can switch between different characters from different series, and I'd love to play through those at some point as well. All right, next up on my list. This one comes in at about $99, and this one is Metal Storm. So Metal Storm, this is the one that I didn't pick up at Funkoland back in the day. This is actually one that I got a couple years ago when I was first getting back into the retro gaming hobby for, after a long period of focusing on other things like life and writing and all that stuff. I had always wanted this game because it looked really cool. Again, I found out about most of my games from Nintendo Power, and this was very memorable. This is the Metal Storm cover, and this is the one I received as a kid, and it just stuck with me. It sounded like a really cool game, getting to switch through different, being able to reverse gravity and all that stuff. And so I kind of always wanted it, and look at this. And I never got a copy of it. I didn't even find it as at Funkoland. So this one, I ended up spending a bit of money. This is probably the most I've spent on any NES game, outside of like a homebrew release, like a newer homebrew release. I picked it up I got a lot of games from GameStop when I first got back into the hobby. I had one of those rewards memberships, so I got like 10% off. You could stack another 16% off on top of that, and you could stack on a free shipping. So a lot of games ended up being really affordable. So say what you will about GameStop, but I was able to build up a lot of my collection in the last couple years, finding good deals on some of the pricier games. And this one, I opened it up, and it's the legit cartridge for sure. And I paid I think they were selling it for like around $90 or something on GameStop, and I ended up paying like $72 or whatever for it after all the discounts. Sometimes you get a buy two, get one free. It was a really good deal. And over the last couple of years, the prices have gone up a bit, and then they've gone down a little bit. And most of the ones that I actually really want, I already owned them before, or I've gotten the pricier ones already, like Friday, like Nightmare on Elm Street and stuff like that. So I don't buy a lot more on GameStop, but for a while I was kind of had it all down to a science where the games would start appearing, like they would replenish their inventory on like Tuesdays, late Tuesday and like Wednesday, so the newer games would show up. So suddenly there'd be like 113 or 120 new NES games on their list, and I would just go through and buy the more expensive ones. All right, so these two I did get from Funkoland. These two I got because I was a big fan of these cartoon shows as well. It's kind of interesting. These are all cartoony or cartoon based. This one, most of you have heard of this. This one is Ducktales 2. This one sells for about $142 now. The price has gone up and down over the years. I've seen it go as high as like $200. I don't know if it's been affected by the Disney Afternoon Collection that came out. If people just aren't buying it, because of that. This one, again, I got this dirt cheap when I was a kid. I didn't really play it that much. I played the original DuckTales a lot growing up. I didn't play this one so much, but I actually ended up beating it, a couple years ago. think I use save states just to kind of save my progress, but it's a challenging game, a little bit harder than the first one. Some of the abilities have changed a little bit, where you can pogo jump just by pressing the B button. You don't have to press down as well. You have some new abilities where you can pull things and like push things and stuff and things like that. So it's kind of fun. I don't love it as much as the first game, but it also feels a little bit more challenging to me. And then this last one, Rescue Rangers 2. This one sells for $168. I actually beat this one just in the last like 4 months or so. I found it a lot more challenging than the first game. Yeah, I don't know, for some reason I had a hard time with those boss fights, like just getting the rhythms down, the patterns down, and also the fact that I wasn't collecting all the items that you're supposed to collect that give you the power-ups and the free lives and things like that. Turns out that was actually kind of important. So I did manage to stream that one recently as well. I think you can watch that in my archives. But it's a fun game. I had a good time with it. So out of these, I really want to play, Rockin Cats, Bucky OHare, and Metal Storm pretty soon. So maybe you'll see some streams of those pretty soon. And this has been a long time. I haven't done this video. I was supposed to do this video like months ago. So anyone who wants to do this challenge or do a video responding to this, go for it. I love seeing other people's collections, especially their NES collections, and finding out about good deals that they've gotten. And yeah, so thanks very much. Let me know in the comments what you think of these games. Have you played them before? Any other ones that you own that I should check out? And how much would you be willing to spend on a Nintendo game? My reasoning when I bought Metal Storm is, adjusting for inflation, the cost of this game new back in the day would have been around $70-something, so I could justify that. So I can't spend more than $70 or $80 on a Nintendo game if I really want to own it. Like I have an EverDrive and I use that to play games, but I still buy new games. I still add to my collection. So I'm always on the lookout for new things to play. Anyway, thanks very much. It looks like my camera's about to run out of power because I'm a total noob at this. So yeah, take care. Thank you.